It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis, Stacey Higginbotham, they're both here. We'll talk about Google's quarterly results. How could Google lose money? I don't know. Why Nest is now a part of Google instead of an independent Alphabet subsidiary. And we visit the Starman on his way to Mars. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 443, recorded Wednesday, February 7th, 2018, made on Earth by humans. This Week in Google is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. Home plays a big role in your life. That's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. It lets you apply simply and understand the entire mortgage process fully so you can be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. Get started at rocketmortgage.com/twig. And by WordPress. Make WordPress.com your online home. Plans start at just $4 a month. Go to WordPress.com/twig to get 15% off your brand new website today. It's time for Twig. This Week in Google, a show where we cover not just Google-ish, but Facebook-y, Twitter-y, and that kind of thing. Stacey Higginbotham's here. She is an IoT maven, so we also cover a lot of IoT with Stacey. Stacey on IoT.com. Hello, Stacey.
Hello.
Thank you for agreeing to appear on our panel at South by.
Yes, March 9th. Very early in the morning.
Yeah, well, you know, that way you have the rest of the day.
Oh, yes, that's good.
You can drive your daughter to school and come to the panel and then have the rest of the day to enjoy South by. Yeah, it's the first day of Interactive, and we'll be at Antone's, the Capital One house, and we're gonna have a panel on security, and we've got some interesting guests to be announced. But Stacey's number one in my list. Thank you, Stacey, for doing that. I appreciate it.
I can teach everyone how not to be secure. Put a lot of connected gadgets in your house.
Yeah, really. You can come to Anton's. I think we'll be starting around 8:30 a.m. or 9. So come to Anton's in the morning. We'll have breakfast for you. You can have something to eat and see that before the festivities of South by, really. Also with us, Mr. Jeff Jarvis. He is from the City University of New York. He teaches journalism there, CUNY. He's actually more than just teaching. He is leading the CUNY graduate program in journalism.
No.
Leading it.
I got a boss.
Yeah, everybody's got a boss. As I was once told, there's always a man.
Yes, it is.
There's always the man.
My boss is a woman.
Yeah. Well, your woman's the man. It's confusing, but true.
Yeah, I'm not.
Dig that hole, Leo.
Meanwhile,
dig that hole.
No, I mean the man as a concept, not a man.
And we have Mr. Rogers as our host today.
What?
The sweater, kind of Mr. Rogery.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Hello, everybody. I am Fred Rogers, and I'm here to do the show. Big story breaking moments ago. Well, an hour ago. That's moments ago. Nest is done as according to Ron Amadio at Ars Technica, as a standalone Alphabet company. It's merging with Google. How do you think, Stacey, this is your beat, how do you think that changes what Nest's up to, and why would they do it?
I think this is a face-saving effort. So, 2014, they bought Nest for $3.2 billion. Waha! That's a lot of money. And so far, according to, I think, CNET, they did an interview, Nest has only sold 11 million devices. So
they're not making their money back, that's for sure.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
And so the idea, they're spinning this as, oh, we're going to be closer to Google. We're going to have access to their AI, and this is going to allow us to better compete with Amazon Echo and, I guess, HomePod. But this really is just a face-saving thing. They had access to Google's AI chops. Nest Cam has had that in it for a couple months. They've been putting Google Assistant on Nest Cam. So my hope is that if they do this, they will help Nest maybe launch cheaper products, because that's one of the things holding Nest back. And then 2, somebody brought up, and this is a really good question. They were like, so when Google bought Nest, we really cared about what was going to happen to our data. And Google said, we're not touching it. So what does this mean?
Oh, that's why they kept it separate.
Well, it's one of the reasons. But I emailed Nest, and here's what they said. Ta-da, this is from Matt Flagel, who's a Nest spokesman. Nest users' data will continue to be used for limited purposes described in their privacy statements, like providing, developing, and improving Nest services and products. But here it comes. As we develop future plans and future product integrations, we will be transparent with users about the benefits of those integrations, any changes to the handling of data, and the choices available to consumers in connection with those changes. So basically, keep an eye on the TOS.
What do you think it'll amount to?
I think you could do things like if they have access to who's home and data from like the Nest thermostat, for example, you have to manually link that to your Google Assistant. It's possible that one day it could just show up naturally. It just kind of gets eaten up into the Google services and happens automatically without you opting in, if that makes sense. And then with the Nest security system, they're going to have a lot of information about coming and going. And that might actually be good because one of the big challenges with the smart home today is there's not a lot of context about who's in the home and where they are in the home. So presence in the home. So this could help with that.
It's not merely the cost of buying Nests. They had virtually unlimited funds, a huge influx of resources, Ron describes it. It quadrupled employee headcount. It bought Dropcam.
Google bought Dropcam, but they started the deal for Dropcam before Nest was bought.
But
and
they
then
merged
they shoved,
it with Dropcam.
Yeah, and I don't think they were happy about that.
Yeah. Tony Fadell left 2 years after the Dropcam acquisition. And at that point, they had 2 products. They had the Nest thermostat and the Dropcam, actually rebranded as the Nest Cam. Since they've added, under their new CEO, Marwan Fawaz, they've added the security system, the $300 Nest Cam IQ, which I bought and you called me a doofus. And it's right behind me. And now I saw it on the Superbowl, a Nest ad for a doorbell.
Yes. They also had actually a smoke detector. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah. The one you waved at it and it disabled it permanently. Yeah, that was good. That was useful.
In case while your house was on fire.
Yeah.
They fixed it.
Yeah. When you hear a sound from the smoke detector, wave at it. We just won't bother you again.
So, but, you know.
They fixed that, by the way. That was an easy firmware fix. Hardware, software, and services will be combined according to Google. All built with Google's artificial intelligence and assistant at the core. I guess this makes sense. I mean, according to the Journal, they'd already combined their supply chain teams 2 years ago.
Oh, well, then they're not going to lower prices. Dang it.
No benefit to that, yeah. What do you think of the Nest products? As put your reviewer wig on. What?
This is my reviewer wig.
I thought so. Okay, she's already got it on. What do you think of their products? What do they? I mean, you did call me. I do remember a doofus for buying the IQ. I think you wanted me to buy the Lighthouse instead, which I ended up doing. And they became a sponsor actually, so that worked out.
I think they're good products. They're just expensive. Like you can get very similar products for less. And so that's always been the key.
We were all in on Dropcam when it was still an independent company. We still have a bunch of Dropcams all over the place.
Yeah, but the Dropcam started out not crazy expensive.
No, it was cheap. You know what's expensive in all of these, and I had never really thought about it until we set them up, is the bandwidth.
Oh, yeah.
They use if you set them in HD mode, anything that's always on is going to consume a megabit a second all the time. And so you really don't want an always-on camera. You want a camera that wakes up sometimes. But all the Nest stuff, I think, you can, because I can scroll back in time for my Nest cameras.
And a lot of people like that because the motion detection doesn't always catch things in time and start recording in time on some cameras. So I had somebody who was like, oh, the Arlos are terrible because they didn't catch a burglar, but my Nest Cam did. And so there's trade-offs. Now, the challenge, what we should be hacked off about are bandwidth caps. So
that's true. If I didn't have bandwidth
let's place our
caps,
anger in the right place.
But I routinely go over my
terabyte
2 or
a month?
3. No, I have 2 terabyte a month bandwidth cap from Comcast on. So I actually have a second network, which is good for security anyway, for the cameras, because bandwidth is, you know, they just eat up bandwidth. On the other hand, I have to say I do like always on. You're right, because what I frequently do with it is go back in time. By the way, that's good also for the company, because you have to pay for storage. They're going to get you a month. Not only are they going to get the $300 for the camera, but they're going to get a monthly fee as you record. Like, here's my driveway. I can see, you know, what's going on. Somebody's stealing my car right now. So it's kind of fun, though, to be able to scroll back through this. And this is what Always On gives you, is this ability. I said, what? Oh, I guess nothing's happening. No, it's not doing it. Well, anyway, you can scroll back in time. Oh, I see. Here it is. Yeah, it's slow. Again, that's more my bandwidth issue than the Nest cameras.
Again, anger at Comcast.
Yeah, nothing but. All right, so it's not going to change how they do business. It's really more. It's a financial thing. I think
it's just a logistical thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just like, fine, you guys, you're not doing it. Come back in. Otherwise, because the other option was they were going to sell them.
Does it mean Ruth Porat now starts paying closer attention to what's going on?
I think she's probably been paying close attention to those other bets for a while. Yeah.
So who's in charge of hardware at
Rick
Google
Osterloh.
and at this? Who's the report to?
Rick Osterloh's now in charge.
So it's all
Marwan was the CEO. Marwan Fawaz was the CEO of Nest, and now he reports to Rick Osterloh.
To Rick, okay.
Which we don't mind, right? We like Rick.
Yeah, Rick's good. And both Rick and Marwan have telco-type backgrounds. So,
yeah,
again,
Rick came from Motorola. He was the guy who introduced the Motorola X, the Moto X, which I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we all did.
Yeah. Another acquisition, which just broke. Well, yesterday.
Right before the show. Well, was it yesterday?
Oh, no, you're right. 6:53 Pacific. So this morning, VidCon, this is from Variety, announces the acquisition. Viacom announces the acquisition of VidCon. That's the conference where all the YouTube stars get screaming, crazy, mad fans. Jeff, you go every year to VidCon.
I go every year. It changed my view of media. It's really a cool conference.
It's the Vlog brothers that own it, right? John and Hank Green?
John and Hank Green. And so they're selling Jim Louderback, our old friend from podcast days.
And Jim, of course, was at Tech TV, my colleague.
He was running the industry track there at VidCon, and I'm on the advisory board for that said industry track. And then he took over CEO, and I think probably to do this.
How much money do you think Viacom paid for this? So
it's a good enterprise. They get 30,000 people in Anaheim. I think 40,000 people now internationally.
80 sponsors, 45 exhibitors. Now that's not a CES size by any means.
No, but
that's good.
Is it?
It's very good. Very healthy.
I'm sure there's
growing,
a metric like $10 per attendee or something, but it's got to be more than that. And I think probably if Viacom's buying it, it's not just to continue business as usual. They must have plans for the brand.
I would imagine there could be shows. Obviously the Green
probably want to do.
I
would guess they want to do a Comic-Con style expansion, right?
Oh my God, my daughter would pay so much money.
YouTube, it'd be like. Icecapades, right? Icecapades would tour around with the most recent skating stars. There'll be a VidCon-capades. Oh, VidCapades.
Except there's something about being in the one place. When they went to Europe, Europe's really going to be pretty much business. It's going to be
but VidCon Austin, we've got at least one person going.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
And VidCon Australia got a lot of people out.
The adult companion. Hank Green will apparently continue to be evolved. Isn't he the author too, though? Didn't he write the bestsellers, Turtles, all the way down? That's
Green
John. His brother
John wrote that, but then Hank is just putting out a novel as well.
Wow. These guys are such overachievers.
And of course, they got the Vlog brothers. They've got all their educational efforts. They've got all their other things that they do on their own. So that'll obviously continue on their own.
How do I don't understand. How do you be a best-selling novelist and run a video convention and run this vlog business? And how? I don't. It's all I can do to get my clothes on in the morning and come in here.
I think when you're young, you have a lot of energy.
Are they young? I guess so.
A lot younger. No, when you add to this, because John's latest novel, which I read, which is very good, is about having OCD, severe OCD.
Yeah.
And you think about that burden on top of everything else.
So he is OCD.
Yes. Oh yes, he talks about this. Yeah.
Well, he's apparently going to stay
wonderful
with the novels. Yes, everybody loves them.
I love them both. They're really, really quite something, and very generous with their fans. And my daughter is a big fan of both. She has her autographed bobblehead Green Brothers dolls.
So they are YouTube stars in their own right.
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting.
And authors. Well, I mean, the YouTube stuff they do the Vlog Brothers, which is just them talking. Then they have the educational series that they do, which are pretty amazing. What are they called, Stacey? You've mentioned that before. I forget suddenly.
I have?
Yeah, I thought you had. I thought your daughter said, oh, maybe not.
I'm blanking. I don't know.
Let's see. The most recent post is called Sawdust Bread, in which John discusses the quality of 18th century French bread and the nearness of history.
Oh, I've referenced these. I didn't realize.
Yes, Crash Course. Okay. They do a lot of history. John does more history and Hank does more science put together.
This is a YouTube channel. It's a place, where like YouTube videos go.
Here on this particular YouTube channel, my brother and I have spent the last 2 years teaching courses in quick 10 to 15-minute episodes. John has taught world history, American history, and some literature,
while Hank has taught biology, ecology, and general chemistry. Now, when people ask us why we do this and how we want these things to be used, we don't really have a coherent answer. We're just trying to create educational content in the hopes that it will be useful to people.
That's pretty altruistic.
Well. And now in 2014, we're teaching new subjects. Hank is teaching psychology.
Do they have ads?
Literature and expanding upon.
I guess not.
I should know that.
Well, let's see here.
They get YouTube money. They get the YouTube ads. They get YouTube.
Oh, I'm YouTube Red, so I would never know. That's right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't get to see the. So they get
YouTube.
They make money on this. But I'm sure they make more money on the novel, or Hank makes more money on the novels, and John
I
would
imagine
to
he
get
sold
to
movies and
right.
But there's also the merch when you go to VidCon. Don't forget to be.
I am being very crass. Of course, who cares if they make money? They're doing wonderful things.
Well, right? you have to make money even if you want to do wonderful things. You have to have money.
Yeah. But they don't have to make a lot of money if they're just doing wonderful things.
Well, the other weird thing is that Hank's in Missoula and John's in Indianapolis.
Oh, wow.
That way.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah. And then
but VidCon's in L.A. Louderback's up here in Half Moon Bay unless he moves.
Right. VidCon is just in L.A. when it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I could. You know what? I'm going to channel Viacom. I think what Viacom's thinking is Comic-Con. Notice how Comic-Con has really branched out all over the world and making a lot of money. There was even a Comic-Con channel. Lionsgate did a $5 a month Comic-Con channel. I'm sure Viacom's thinking right down those lines.
Yeah, events. They have other events. And they want to be in the events business, and the events business is a great hedge against pure advertising and pure content.
Mm-hmm. But it's not scalable, and that's the challenge.
Everybody always said Twitch should do events, and again, it's all I can do to get up in the morning. So, but
highly profitable.
Is it? Because GigaOM did events, right?
Our events were hugely profitable, but they were not. You couldn't scale them
because you have a limited
quality.
Yeah.
Stacey, I think the difference here is though. I think you're right on a pure B2B level, but on this fan level,
you could scale.
I think the event. The event is a highlight of an ongoing membership.
True. And I mean, there have been a couple. What's her name? I think it was Miranda, or no, it was another YouTube comedian came into Austin, and we paid an exorbitant amount for standing room.
Oh yeah.
I say this I'm like, oh, I'm not seated. It's terrifying. But standing room at her show, and it was. Us and a million preteen and tween girls.
Set expectations for your South by Southwest appearance with us. There will be seating room. There may even be empty seats, but I think we will surely have 10, 12, maybe even 15 people in the audience. So just to set expectations.
There'll be plenty of bagels for everybody.
No, what is it? We're getting breakfast tacos.
I'm not coming if there are bagels.
No bagels. Breakfast tacos.
Or burritos.
By the way.
No, breakfast tacos.
I loved. You got to do regional.
You still call them tacos. That's right.
You got to do regional. Joanna Stern, she's reviewing Apple's new speaker, which comes out Friday, the HomePod, and likens it to bagels, and says it's 3 stacked New York bagels, and it just shows you. And you know this, Jeff, because you work in Manhattan. There's nothing more provincial than a Manhattanite.
What?
They're provincial.
No, we are the center of the universe. The universe just wants to be like us.
That's right. That's it. Yeah.
That's provincial and egocentric.
That's what provincial means.
Because we deserve to be.
We're the center of the universe. What do we need?
We are.
Yeah, we are. Sure, we are.
Yeah.
Sure, you are.
Yeah. You in the chicken capital, and you in the tattoo capital. Yeah,
but we at least know that Petaluma doesn't have any cachet. In fact, worse, it smells like manure half the time. Our cachet is woo. If we ever do a perfume,
that's organic.
It'll be Petaluma. Woo! Alphabet announces fourth quarter and fiscal year 2017 results. We buried the lead. 9.
No. Wait.
I'm waiting.
The lead has to be Spaceman.
God, was that amazing? All right, forget Alphabet's results.
Earth crap.
This is no longer This Week in Google. It's This Week in Spaceman.
Wasn't it awe-inspiring? Wasn't it so wonderful to look up, not down? Wasn't it just phenomenal?
You had a great tweet, Jeff. You said this reminds me of the '60s, where it's hope above and
what does it say? Hate below.
Anger or hate or distress.
Anger below. Yeah.
And it is true, isn't it? And the Guardian wrote a very miserable editorial. They were, what a surprise, right? I know
you've gone so anti-tech.
I know you're no longer a Guardian fan, but they basically said, there's people dying in Syria, and we're celebrating, $1 billion. The headline literally is why Elon Musk's space launch is utterly depressing.
Oh, jeez.
I know. No. Come on. No, this was not depressing.
This is moral panic time.
Well, it's just, there are people dying in Syria. It's not a zero-sum game. We have enough to do both. Trust me. This is a fraction of the cost. It's a So
we integrated the schools and had Tang at the same time.
That's right. That's right. Thank God for that. So this, Elon is, by the way, if there's one takeaway from this besides just excitement over the gorgeous miracle of it, is Elon's the best marketer in the world.
Oh God, is he brilliant? So
before he goes on, before the flight, he goes on the Today Show yesterday and says, "Well, the engineers tell me two chances out of 3 it's just going to blow up right there on the pad. I'm optimistic 50-50." So now you have to watch, right?
Right. You're like, oh my God, it's going to either take off and be awesome, or it's going to explode and be awesome.
It's going to be the biggest rocket ever exploding on the pad. So you have to watch. You watch, and it's perfection. There's 27 engines. Even one of them is off by 1 millimeter. The rocket doesn't go up. It goes whoop, perfect, straight up in the air. Then the pièce de résistance, as the 3 boosters come off, the 2 side boosters land like freaking synchronized swimmers.
Flash Gordon time. What did happen to the main booster? I never saw a report.
It did fall into the ocean. It didn't make it.
And fortunately, no pictures to spoil your memories.
Yes.
And you know what? This was still a total success. Oh. But the best part, and when I read this a month ago that Elon said, I'm going to put my Roadster on this, I thought, oh, yeah, come on, Elon. And it's going to have a dummy in it, Spaceman, and it's going to be playing in a loop David Bowie's Space Odyssey, Ground Control to Major Tom. Okay, I thought he's not going to do it.
Starman.
Starman, not Space. Starman. So I thought, okay, fine. So he does it, right? Oh, that's cool. What I didn't know is that when the capsule gets into Earth orbit, the fairing come off, and the Starman and the Tesla are floating in space. Oh, coincidentally, there happen to be cameras all around it.
Yeah, of course. With the lighting just like perfect.
Well, the lighting provided by the sun and the Earth. I mean, it's stunning. And of course, it's a subtle ad because there's the Tesla logo on the steering wheel. He could have put the Tesla logo on the screen. Instead, he puts Douglas Adams' great words from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, "Don't panic," on the screen. And we're just watching this, and I want this as a screensaver. I mean,
I do too. Well, I put my favorite picture just up on the chat, Leo.
Oh, good.
My favorite Starman picture is there on the chat.
It's just so stunning. And by the way, a massive ad for Tesla, ultimately, in a way, right? So Elon's...
That's just, isn't that amazing? Isn't
Elon's
that
winning in many...
So right now, for those of you on audio right now, it's the side image with the Earth in the background, just driving along, cruising past the Earth. Unbelievable.
Isn't that gorgeous? And the Earth, of course, the Starman is in Earth orbit, so the Earth is slowly setting at it. Now he's on his way, right? They're going to send him out to the asteroid belt.
Yeah, it was I guess it was a little off the planned trajectory, so it's going way past Mars, almost to Ceres, and into the asteroid belt. Yeah.
And Elon's saying all these things like, "I can't wait 2 million years from now, and alien archaeologists find this. What are they going to think?" And
so the asteroid's going to bang it up.
Well, there are those who say it won't. It's going to get pulverized, as it probably will by space dust.
So how does it? So this is the question. I was looking for a story on this and I didn't see it.
This is Jeff's favorite from 4ocoches.com, and your dog recognized it immediately. I think that's interesting.
She was very intent.
She said, "I see a dog in space. I'd like to do that."
I want to know how the camera's transmitting. That's a lot of data to come down from space. I know we have satellites sending data all the time.
It's all made up, Stacey. We didn't go to the moon. The Tesla's not up there. It's all in a studio somewhere in California.
It's too perfect.
I really wanted to read what kind of a communication setup they have. So that was just my.
So how long the batteries are going to last, and is it still broadcasting?
Yeah, it's got a pretty big battery pack in that thing. I imagine it is. Of course, by the way, understand they're in a vacuum, so you can't hear it. No. It's John just showed me the circuit board that has the music loop on it, and it has printed on the circuit board, "Made on Earth by humans," just in case. Just in case. Ground control. V'ger. It's going to come. A lot of V'ger jokes. It's going to come back and be looking for a supercharger, things like that. Yeah.
It didn't hit the orbit that they planned?
No, it's slightly off. But
it doesn't matter. Okay. That's what
Elon
they were
was
doing.
Fine with that.
Yeah, they're testing the rockets. I mean, they don't. Right, okay. That's nothing. This is a massive success. You couldn't.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you're right. That should be the lead. Because
sorry, but we had to. This is a science-loving show.
But it's also happy.
It's happy.
We got an answer on the chat room saying that SpaceX paid NASA to use their TDRS network. So
that's where the pictures are coming from. Yeah, I mean, it's not that far from Earth. You won't see pictures now, right? I mean, it's not going to continue to stream.
Well, that's what I wanted, but yes.
That's what I'm asking is how long did the streaming continue?
No, I'm sure. John's going to tell me. He's our space exit.
Elon
tweeted the last picture recently because as it gets away from the Earth, it can't. It's not. I mean, they're not going to spend money beaming back the same picture. Although if spaceman gets to Mars, I wouldn't mind seeing a little Mars.
You want to see. Mars. You want to wake up then.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the network provides 6 megabits per second and 800 megabits in the KU/KA bands. Yeah. So now I know. Now I feel better.
How about this picture? Give Apple Maps another try, they said. It's gotten a lot better, they said. It's a dog. There's so many jokes about this.
That last picture is amazing.
Oh, let's go see it. Oh, we got to do
Elon Musk Twitter. Yeah, it's Instagram, actually.
Yeah.
It's Instagram? Okay.
Yeah, jeez.
It really does bring back the blue marble, that everybody talks about, and you get a great sense of, oh my God.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's going off into space. The last picture of Starman and Roadster en route to Mars orbit and then the asteroid belt. Wow. Wow. And of course the Earth is receding in the distance. I want that as a desktop picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something. And of course, again, he's in a Tesla.
Yeah.
Come on. If Pepsi did that, people would be infuriated.
Yeah.
If he was holding a Pepsi in his hand, people would have hit the roof. But we don't somehow, Elon, we don't mind. Oh, here's the This is also from his Instagram. Here's the image of the circuit board made on Earth by humans.
Now, the only thing more perfect is if Starman had brought out a flamethrower.
Boring machine flamethrower. I'm sorry.
My other tweet was, that's the biggest damn flamethrower ever made. As soon as it was going off.
Here's the picture of the two rockets landing as if in ballet. You know, whatever the Guardian says, yeah, we've got troubles here on Earth, and we're, you know, but
science is important.
And you know what? I wouldn't even argue that this is science. It is, but that's not even important. Inspiration is important.
Yeah.
One of the ways you solve problems here on Earth is to remind us we're all on this little blue marble in the middle of nowhere, all together at once, that we as humans have aspirations that are phenomenal and that we are capable of amazing things. All of that. Some school kid is seeing that launch, and as I did when I was a kid watching Gemini and Apollo, and getting excited about life, about what's possible, about, yes, STEM, but even more than that. I think this is huge. I think it's fabulous.
I tweeted this, but I will say that my daughter was like, this is awesome. But now he's littering in space. She's very concerned.
Well, yes,
we had a whole discussion about space.
It would be worse in Earth orbit.
Yeah, it's going there. Every flight does environmental damage. Think about the amount of fuel it's consuming, the pollution that causes. There's a lot. In fact, some have said that SpaceX's launches are just barely offset by how much energy Teslas have saved.
Oh, wow.
That's a point.
But again, it's not a zero-sum game.
No.
You know, the other thing that with this anti-corporate, and I just still love the Guardian, but they're sometimes and
it's just an op-ed. I don't know if it represents their entire.
No, they've been going so anti-tech lately. Next time I see them, I'm going to beat them up about it. But anyway, it did occur as I'm doing research on this notion of the mass. I was reading some stuff, and it occurred to me that if you look at some of the exploration back in the day, whether it was the Pilgrims actually being subsidized by venture capital of the day, the Hudson's Bay Company into Canada, the Indian venture for Britain the venture started as corporate. The future was explored by companies and by capitalists of a sort.
Imperialists.
And that's what's happening now.
Imperialists.
Yeah, and all the bad things that come with it.
Actually, it's an interesting point, because imperialism, and it did create horrific disruptions that we still suffer from in the Middle East and Africa and elsewhere, was also a civilizing force. So, yeah, I mean, it's not completely, it's not black and white. Here, but I did not know this. Did you know this, John? That on the dashboard of the Roadster is a Matchbox Roadster with a tiny Starman in it.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And in the Matchbox Roadster on the dashboard is another even tiny. No, I'm just joking. It would be good, though, if there was Roadsters all the way down. Would be very good.
It would be very good. There's also some kind of new mechanism to try to store all the Earth's knowledge, and a new format was put on the Roadster.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I wonder what else we're going to find out.
Put Wikipedia on it. You know, put a little thumb drive with Wikipedia on it. That would be easy. Not that aliens or anybody getting it would be able to read it, but at least, you know, kind of fun to say you did it. There isn't the equivalent of the big gold disc that was on Voyager.
No, but there was a little disc. What the hell was it? Oh hell, I saw the story.
Oh, neat.
It was some kind of new format but it didn't store much.
Here's from The Verge. SpaceX flight included a copy of the Foundation novels.
Oh.
Yeah, so it didn't store much.
On a Arch storage disk.
So their goal
not
is
the
to find the
DVD
best
of the Will
permanent.
Smith movie?
Not the Will Smith DVD. It's a 5D laser optical quartz storage device that is meant to be able to survive even in the harsh conditions of space. So the Arch Mission Foundation's goal is to preserve libraries of human knowledge for interstellar travel. So that's what you're talking about, the Arch Mission
exactly
Foundation.
Who found that? Very good searching.
Our chat room. They're the best.
Good chat room.
Yeah.
Very.
So I'm going to bet we're going to find other things. There's the Pepsi in the glove compartment after all, you know?
So I don't mind if it's in the glove compartment as long as it just doesn't become an ad for Pepsi.
I know. I know.
And, you know, for some reason, nobody seems to mind that it's an ad for Tesla.
No.
It's a subtle ad.
It's his $90 million rocket.
I know.
I was about to say,
he could have put concrete.
It's much more, frankly, inspiring that what he did was much more inspiring.
It is, and it has a sense of humor.
Yeah, you got to admire Elon. He thinks outside the box, to say the least.
King Elon.
No, I've now come to the conclusion after. Okay, so now we learn Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook hired a pollster.
I think that's more common than you know.
I think it is.
Far more common than
corporations
you know.
off. Well, we know that, for instance, the board of Uber, when it was trying to get rid of Travis Kalanick, commissioned a survey to find out how people felt about the CEO. And that was some of the ammunition they used when they approached Travis and said, you got to go. Look at your numbers. But
I just found out about a major tech executive, I won't say who has his own, who commissions his own political polling and polling in the country.
Okay. Why does he do that?
I think wanting to get the zeitgeist and understand how to cause change and things. I mean, these folks do fancy themselves the Hudson's Bay Company of the future, right? And so they want to know what's what.
I guess public opinion is part of business. You know,
it is,
and the ebb and flow of the economy is certainly something you'd like to be able to prepare for. So I understand that. But I think it's interesting that this pollster, Tavis McGinn, who actually was a market researcher, he didn't go to the standard polls to hire somebody. This was a guy who worked with advertisers on marketing campaigns. But he was asked during the interview process, would you like to track the public perception of Mark Zuckerberg? This is April 2017. And, you know, so already Facebook's in trouble for the election, right? This is already, they're getting heat. And Mark was on his tour, right, where he was the listening tour, where he was kind of doing a quasi-political thing. McGinn told The Verge, it was my job to do surveys and focus groups globally to understand why people like Mark Zuckerberg, whether they think they can trust him and whether they've even heard of him. Not just in the U.S., but it's especially important outside the United States. And it turns out he did the same thing for Sheryl Sandberg. And one of the things they had him survey was, do you associate Facebook's COO Sheryl Sandberg with Facebook or with Lean In and Option B, her personal initiatives? Obviously trying to figure out, is Sandberg becoming more famous than we are? But anyway, the reason I brought it up is I feel like we already know Dwayne Johnson wants to run for president. Oprah Winfrey wants to run for president. Guarantee you Bloomberg, Zuckerberg, and others want to run for president. The celebrities and technologists both are looking at the White House and starting to bead their beady eyes on it. And I do not want a billionaire or a famous person to be elected just because they're a billionaire or a famous person. I know Oprah doesn't want to run. Mark doesn't want to run. Nobody wants to run until they run.
You know, it reminds me of, okay, I'm just going to say it, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because you don't have the real power isn't the president. What's happening is... It's
all a performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That may be true. I mean, I think Jeff and I, as Democrats, when Obama was elected, we had high hopes. And just as every president before him, he went in with hopes to change the world and ended up being able to do very little because of a lot of things.
Right. And that's, I mean, that's life. You go in with big expectations and the world and experience kind of beats you down a little.
Actually, Trump may have been more effective, frankly, in his first year than Obama was in his first year.
No.
Okay.
No.
Talk me down. Okay.
Nice try for going for the contrarian thing there, Leo, but no.
Yeah, I'm like, he did one piece of legislation.
Look what he's done with the EPA. Look what he's done with...
Well, he's destroyed a lot, yes.
Look what he's done with lifelong appointed justice appointees. Look what I mean.
If you want to blow up a system, it is much easier to blow something up than it is to build something.
Oh, there you go.
Just ask the internet.
That's the excuse.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well,
I mean,
it's through the internet too.
Yeah, it's easier.
You can tear
to
down
destroy
Egypt. It's harder to build it back up.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to Ron Chernow's Grant biography right now.
Yes,
and it is striking how up to the Civil War, he was just a horrendous loser. He was a nice guy and a chump, and he kept losing money on business venture after business venture. And yet the man became, the head of the army in the Civil War, accepted the Appomattox defeat, and became president of the United States.
Not to mention he was a drunk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting. That'd be a great book to read. Chernow wrote the Hamilton book, of course, and
right.
It is very good.
It's depressing, actually. In the beginning, oh Jesus, another $1,000 gone.
You know, Grant was a complete loser. Yeah.
Oh. So yeah, it's not as if presidents came from being.
Oh no, we've had some
brilliant people.
We've had many bad ones.
Was he a bad president? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a funny point, though, right? Was he? I don't know.
Not there yet. I don't know.
He was affiliated with scandal, but I have no idea if he was a bad president. I mean, how do you measure a president? That's the other thing. I mean, like what do you measure by legislation?
Now.
That's. I mean, there's lots of.
You see the new floor from which to judge. Sorry, people. I know I'm going to get in trouble.
Hey, when we have our military parade in July, you're going to be the guy standing in front of the tank.
I love a parade.
So, do we want to talk about Alphabet's revenue? Let's take a break.
Yeah, let's go. Let's come back to it. Okay, we'll get to it. Then we should get to it. Yeah, so this is about. There is some
stuff, and actually even related stuff, because Alphabet had to pay $9.9 billion in tax.
Explain to me how that happened.
I can explain.
That's what I figured you could.
I can explain. Well,
after this message,
they actually lost money because of it, but not really. Revenue is up, profits are down. It all has to do with $9.9 billion in income tax. But first, or corporate tax. Do you call corporate taxes income taxes? I guess not.
No.
They're just corporate taxes.
Corporate taxes.
Corporations, even though they're people, don't have income. See, that's how you have to do it, Jeff. You got to just the shots need to be subtle. Just like little dark.
Screw subtlety. The hell
I was like,
with
that's
subtlety.
about as subtle as
Damn
my hair.
Subtlety.
Come on, Leo.
F subtlety.
I've been thinking about dog whistles. I'm in the market. I just figure, if we could come up with, that's what we need to do. We need better dog whistles. You know what I'm saying?
That is not what we need.
Okay.
That's part of our problem. Let's go. Advertising.
Okay. Next time you're ready to buy a house, can I make a recommendation? Actually, I do notice interest rates. One of the reasons the stock market plunged last week is because the market was convinced interest rates would go up. The Fed has already said we're going to raise them a few times. It's a good time maybe to refi. You don't even have to be in the market for a house. I notice a lot of houses on the market, though, right now. This would be a good time. Good time to buy, good time to refi. And if you do, I want you to remember this address, rocketmortgage.com/twig. See, this is a mortgage, entirely online mortgage approval process. It comes from our friends at Quicken Loans, who are absolutely great. #1 in customer satisfaction 8 years in a row, according to J.D. Power, for mortgage approval. Even with all those awards, they weren't satisfied. Don't you love that? They said there's something wrong with the mortgage approval process. It's dated. It needs a client-focused technological revolution. And they created Rocket Mortgage. You can do the whole thing. Oh, I love. Did you see the Superbowl ads for Rocket Mortgage? Go see the website because they're hysterical. Hysterical with Keegan-Michael Key. Just doing a great job. Anyway, they created Rocket Mortgage. You can do it entirely on your phone. There's no jargon, no mystery. You simply set up an account, rocketmortgage.com/twig. Give them some basic information. You don't even have to look it up. I know you know it. Your name, your address, your birth date, your social. They have relationships with all the financial institutions. Once you give them permission, just the touch of a button, they can pull the information they need to make you an offer. Based on income, assets, and credits, within a couple of minutes, they'll analyze all the home loan options for which you qualify, and they'll give you several to choose from. You choose the down payment, you choose the term, you choose the rate. You get the mortgage. Then and there, you're approved. It's just a complete revolution. Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. You apply simply. You'll understand every step of the way fully. No jargon. It's all completely clear. And then you mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/twig. And do it anyway just to watch the video. The Super Bowl ad was so funny. rocketmortgage.com/twig. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. Rocket Mortgage, Quicken Loans. Thank you for your support this week. And Google. Did either of you watch the Super Bowl?
Most of it.
TiVo did a funny thing. You know, they have a skip commercial button, and it's not for all shows, but if you TiVo a show, some shows, I guess they have to have permission.
You skip the Super Bowl and go to the commercials?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Wasn't that brilliant?
That's cute.
So instead of skipping the commercials, you press D and it skips all the football. It goes right to the commercial.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So Lisa and I, the day after the Super Bowl, we watched it, but I had to work and stuff. So we watched it, but it's the day after. I said, let's watch the commercials. Let's watch the Super Bowl. We sat down. I had it on my TiVo. And it took us only, maybe 15, 20 minutes. We saw all the commercials one after the other.
Which was the best one in your view?
Tide.
Oh, with David Harbour?
Yes.
Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did his Stranger Things dance in one of them.
Yeah.
He was so cute.
The Amazon was good.
The reason I think Tide won is because after that, you thought every commercial, what Tide did was they set it up that every commercial is really a Tide commercial. And so they had parodies of all these commercials. And it was really a Tide commercial because everybody's wearing super clean clothes. And so they set it up so that everything you saw from then on, you thought, is this a Tide commercial? They got people every single commercial thinking, is this a Tide commercial? And some of them were. Yeah. So must have cost them $10 million because it's $5 million for half a minute.
And nobody was eating pods in any of them.
No, they didn't even mention Tide Pods. But you know what? Fine. I wouldn't expect them to.
No.
It's a Tide ad. So what did you said you liked?
I like the Amazon.
Amazon with Jeff Bezos. Should we play it?
Yeah, let's play it. I think it's appropriate for us.
Because it's very funny. But we were talking about this on Windows Weekly, and I think that maybe Paul Thurrott got it right when he said, okay, fine, for us who know who Echo is, that was funny. But no one else...
Oh, it's in the culture now, I think.
He talked to people. He said nobody understood what it was for. Let me see if I can find the full ad because there's a lot of...
It's in the rundown, I think.
Well, but there's teasers. Let me see if I can find
we're losing Stacey.
Sorry. No, that was, again, still working on the caffeine withdrawal.
You're still doing that? Oh. God, I thought you'd be off that by now.
Yeah. No, I have to do it for several months, but it's getting so much better. Like now I'm totally awake for you guys. It's just, normally I have coffee beforehand, so.
YouTube Super Bowl ad views were up 16%. We're about to make it 17% with Amazon's Echo ad, the most watched ad on YouTube. How about that? Number 2, Groupon, which was a terrible ad. Who even knew Groupon was still in business? Right?
That is how a lot of people felt.
Yeah. So maybe that was a good ad. Then the Pepsi ad, which I don't remember. Oh, it's all the generations. A lot of people watched that. The Bud Night, again, stupid. The end, I hope to God, of Dilly Dilly.
Yeah.
Let me go to YouTube because that seems to be the place to go for Super Bowl ads, apparently. And see if we can find this Amazon. So Jeff Bezos was in it, which is uncharacteristic for him, isn't it?
Very.
I said it was a victory lap for Amazon's Echo.
I think it's exactly what it was. Yes, I think you're quite right. Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi has now passed the longest speech.
She's still talking.
She's still talking. More than 7 hours.
This is her DACA filibuster. Is it a filibuster officially?
No, I think it's not a filibuster.
It's just a speech. Just a long speech.
7 hours?
Mr. Chairman.
In Austin, it's 60 degrees with a... Alexa?
Amazon's Alexa lost her voice this morning, causing a
Alexa lost her voice.
There's Jeff Bezos.
How's that even possible?
We have to...
He looks good too, by the way.
Yeah.
He's wearing his he now realizes I look good in a vest.
His Sun Valley gear.
Yeah, he's wearing exactly the outfit that isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the vest he wore in Sun Valley that makes him look buff. Still doesn't have any hair, but he's also the richest man in the world, so I think he's extremely attractive. I'm even kind of turned on.
Alexa lost her voice. How is that even possible?
We have the replacements ready. Just say the word.
And you're sure this is going to work?
This is my favorite part. You're sure this is going to work?
Very well played.
Yeah.
Alexa, show me a recipe for a grilled cheese sandwich.
Pathetic. You're 32 years of age.
So first, Gordon
and you don't
Ramsay.
know how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. Its name is the recipe, you
Alexa, how far is Mars?
Oh, how far is Mars? Well, how am I supposed to know? I've never been there. This guy want to go to Mars.
Is that Missy Elliott? Who is that?
That's not even...
I'm sorry for my lack of knowledge
I'm
about
too old.
I think that's Tiffany Haddish.
Hadid? No, she was the Groupon lady.
That's right. I don't know who that
You're
is.
really not. I'm not asking you anymore. I want to.
Cardi B says.
Cardi B. That's who it was. Of course.
Okay. Alexa, set the mood.
Now setting the mood. You're in the bush, and you're
Rebel
just
Wilson.
so dirty and so sweaty because it's hot in that bush.
Alexa, reboot.
Alexa, play some country music.
I don't dance now. I make money moves.
No, Alexa, country music.
I be in and out them banks so much I know they tired of me.
Alexa, call Brandon.
I'm afraid Brandon is a little tied up.
Anthony Hopkins.
But do let me know if there's anything I can help you with.
And Peacocks.
Jessica?
Oh, that's scary.
Good boy.
Thanks, guys.
What's with the Nobody Does It Better music? Is that just to say nobody does it better than her?
I guess so. Yeah, not Google. I thought it was good.
It's notable for a couple of
too.
reasons. Well, yeah, because it's more than 30 seconds. That's
and it's stars. They got to pay it.
Yeah, that was three 30-second ads, and they showed that entire thing. So that's $15 million in ad time alone. Add the stars, you're well over 20 million, right, in production for one ad. It does. I don't know if instead of talking about what Echo can do, it doesn't at all talk about what Echo can do. I guess it shows.
No, it makes
music.
Echo part of our lives. It makes the A-lady part of our lives.
Well, it shows you what people are doing with those.
Yeah, because he was listening to
true,
country music and.
Tell me how to make a grilled cheese sandwich.
Okay, how to make a sandwich. Yeah, you're right. But I think it really is a victory lap. It's more. We know, you know who Jeff is. You know what Alexa is, and. It's great, isn't it? It's just great. That's really the ad.
Well, and in the numbers, tell me if I'm wrong here, but the numbers, Echo has a major contribution to Amazon's sterling quarter.
Yeah, and yes, that's right. Huge sales for the Echo, and 1 week later, 41.1 million views on YouTube. So you had 100 million Super Bowl watchers, give or take, seeing it, maybe with half attention as they dip into their, hummus. I'm sorry, bourbon hot wings.
Queso.
Queso. But 41 million people sought it out on YouTube, went and found it and watched it.
So that's the magic now. Yeah.
That is the magic now, isn't it? That's what you're going for.
So what did you all think of the Dodge Ram ad?
Offensive.
Yep, I agree.
But I talked to a lot of people who said, what are you talking about? It was very positive. It was Martin Luther King talking about serving. So the text was great, but it was in service of, a lot of serving people, but ultimately of selling a truck. But somebody did a really good cut down of a re-edit of it. Let me see if I can find it, in which Martin Luther King's actual thoughts about advertising are heard. So I'm not going to play the original Ram ad, but let's see what Martin Luther King really thought about car commercials.
The presence of this instinct explains why we are so often taken by advertisers. are those gentlemen of massive verbal persuasion. And they have a way of saying things to you that kind of gets you in the bind. In order to be a man of distinction, you must drink this whiskey. In order to make your neighbors envious, you must drive this type of car. In order to be lovely to love, you must wear this kind of lipstick or this kind of perfume. And you know, before you know it, you're just buying that stuff. And I've got to drive this car because it's something about this car that makes my car a little better than my neighbor's car. And I am sad to say that the nation in which we live is the supreme culprit. And I'm going to continue to say it to America.
Yeah, so there you go. That's maybe a little more accurately the Reverend Martin Luther King's opinions of advertising. I'm sure the King estate had to give permission for that. They're very, very judicious about how they allow his voice to be used. I know because remember Eyes on the Prize, that great documentary about the Civil Rights March and movement?
Which you could buy on Amazon and is still worth watching.
You can buy it, but they don't show it anymore because they lost the rights to the I Have a Dream speech, I think, right? Wasn't that the story?
And they didn't, in the Selma movie, they didn't allow his words to be used. So basically, it looks like they're just profiting.
Yeah, the family said, Ram trucks, that's a good thing. Forget that march on the bridge thing, you know. So I wasn't that offended. I was offended because they used it, but there was the message was very strong and very good serve, you know. And you don't have to desire to be rich and famous and popular. Just serve, and you can, you know. So that was okay. If you just closed your eyes and you didn't see the images of the Ram trucks. How about
should we get to Alphabet?
How about Alphabet's revenue?
This weekend,
we talked a lot about the advertising on Twitter before the Super Bowl, so I think we can wrap it up a little bit. Alphabet's fourth quarter and fiscal year 2017 results. Revenue, $32 billion. This is 3 months. $32 billion. That's a growth of 24% year over year. Not bad. The operating income was up 24%. The net income was a loss, though. They lost $3 billion. Why? Because they had to pay. Well, that doesn't make any sense. $9 billion in taxes. It wouldn't have. Well, maybe it erased their entire profits. Revenue from Google properties, $22 billion. From advertising, $27 billion. Other bets revenues, a mere $409 million. That's the Nest, right? That's the Nest and everything else. Other bets, not exactly huge revenue. So their operating income, $8.7 billion. The operating loss for other bets, almost $1 billion. $916 million loss for other bets. That's why
that's less though. That's
down.
They had loss. It's down.
That's down from $1.08 billion a year ago. So really, the thing that you want to pay attention to though is the ad network, right? Oh, and cost for acquisition. Total acquisition costs skyrocketed, right? Went up a lot. And so that's something, a cause for concern for the market. Total acquisition cost as a percent of advertising revenues, 24% compared to 22% last year. And then the paid clicks, the change from Q3, they're still going up, but its acceleration's gone down. 18% increase year over year in aggregate paid clicks. That includes Google properties and the ad networks properties. By the way, it's interesting. Much more growth on Google property clicks, 19%, than paid clicks on network properties, 9%. Aggregate costs per click, negative 6 cents, 6%. Drop of 6% in the cost per click. 7% of Google properties and an increase of 1%. So the big input effect was the $9.9 billion in tax, but that's the tax that they pay to repatriate all that money that's been stored overseas.
How much did they repatriate? I was wrong, by the way, a few weeks ago on Apple. I gave the tax not the amount they were.
Yeah, the $38 billion in tax brought back more than $250 billion in offshore. So it's 50 whatever $9.9 billion is 15% of. Can somebody do the math? It's more than 100.
That's why God invented chat rooms.
More than $100 billion back. Let's put it that way. Roughly $100 billion back. So what will they do with it? Not clear. Apple has said we will spend all of it. And I think Google will have to do the same because the money has to be allocated either to revenue-generating expenditures or paid to the shareholders. Apple's going to Apple's going to give a lot of it in dividends and stock buybacks to shareholders. Stock buybacks benefit shareholders. I've learned from, and I'll give him credit again, Horace Dediu at Simco, who explained all of this. Stock buybacks help shareholders because it means that the value of one share goes up, right? Because it's a bigger percentage of the company, and of course dividends directly in the pocket. You can't just spend the money on, something fun. You can't put a rocket into space. You have to do something that's going to benefit shareholders ultimately. So, I mean, and the definition of that varies widely. I think Apple is spending some of that money, $30 billion, on a new headquarters in Nevada, but that's going to house their call center and save money, I guess, in the long run because it's cheap.
Google's going to spend $2 billion buying its building in Chelsea.
Yeah, did you see that? Is that an attractive building?
The next door building.
Do you know that building? Was it Chelsea Market? Is that what it's called?
Chelsea Market, right? So they own the port. They're in their Port Authority building, which is the huge full block building where Google's New York headquarters is. They keep on getting more space in that, and it's huge. It's an entire New York block, and because New York is the center of the universe, our blocks are really big.
It's the second largest acquisition deal ever in New York City.
Yes, so behind that is the Chelsea Market.
It looks like the San Francisco. It looks kind of like the San Francisco Armory, which is currently the home of Kink.com.
It's actually an old Nabisco factory, I believe.
Is it? It's a biscuit factory.
Yeah.
Oh, Nabisco. Yeah. We're back to the beginning, huh?
I think it was Nabisco. Yeah.
Wow.
Now Mondelez.
Now Mondelez. What is it pronounced? Mondelez?
Oh, is it Mondelez?
I don't know.
I don't. They make the best.
Yeah,
crackers.
Nabisco. It was Nabisco.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ground floor is a lively, meandering hallway filled with food shops, restaurants, and
wholesalers. It is very good. Very good.
Sounds like the fun. Ferry building.
Yeah, sounds like that. Or Les Halles.
Since you have to put this in your provincial terms, yes, I guess so.
Exactly. I'm just going to keep doing this all day long.
The Food Network. The Food Network is in there. Oxygen.
YouTube had a lot of space in there.
Major League Baseball.
I think the YouTube maker space is in there.
Will they kick all these people out and just put all YouTube in there? I mean, or all Google in there?
I don't know. I think bit by bit as leases go. Same thing with the Port Authority. But I also know that, for instance, Cornell, which has a new campus on Roosevelt Island in New York, their temporary space while it was being built was in the Google headquarters building.
Wow.
Google has tons of space. And they need more, obviously.
Yep, they're growing.
Yeah.
Getting bigger. Is this the same Douglas Hofstadter as wrote Gödel Escherbach? John, do you know? Doug Hofstadter wrote in The Atlantic, must be, the shallowness of Google Translate. The program uses state-of-the-art AI techniques, but simple tests show it's a long way from real understanding. Actually, can't be. Is it or is it not? I don't know. Anyway, it's
what's the bio? Look at the bottom of the story.
Look at the bottom. See if there's a bio. See, Jeff's giving us a little lesson in media literacy.
It shouldn't be. It should be at the top. So you say, "Who wrote this?"
I know because you get
you always got to stroll to the bottom. Unfortunately,
it does. There's is a professor of it's him. He's the author of Gödel Escherbach, the professor of cognitive science and comparative literature at Indiana University of Bloomington. Very revered man. That book, Gödel Escherbach, was very big in my generation. Big.
I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Gödel. I would say Gödel Escherbach, but
yeah.
Gödel. So, if you've never read Gödel Escherbach and you've got a little free time and some extra tabs of acid, you just really have to try it.
Okay, I'll keep that in my agenda. Next time I'm bored.
See, it is. Here's what's happening here, Stacey. Leo and I really are reliving the 60s right now.
Oh yeah.
Space shots and turmoil. Now the drugs come in. We're too old for the sex. But other than that, the children of the 60s stuff is coming out.
Basically, it's the only thing we remember.
Yeah.
In the 60s were so good to professional women, so I'm going to let y'all relive it, but I'm going to stay up here.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Yep. Yep.
You
well,
know,
wasn't it Mad
I have
Men
to say,
50s?
Stacey, the 2010s haven't been much better. It's not like any era really was a golden era.
Yeah, you haven't quite.
But I have much more opportunity.
Yes,
now
that's true.
True that.
Thanks to the hard work of your sisters in the 60s.
Actually, people like my mom and my grandmother. They both were totally.
Let's not forget. Okay, let's not forget.
And I'm not saying to stay. I'm not doing a nostalgia for the 60s. I'm just saying that it's just flashback time.
Got it.
That's all.
We could flash back to my childhood or my teens in the 90s.
Yeah, no, that wasn't a good era. Oh, no, John Perry Barlow has passed.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that makes me so
He'd been
sad.
ill for quite some time. John Perry Barlow, he was a Grateful Dead lyricist.
One of the great gentlemen of the open internet age.
A classy guy, a Montana rancher who also helped founded the Electronic Frontier Foundation and did so much to promote the free internet.
But he wasn't that old.
No, he'd been ill. In fact, we went to a really wonderful benefit for him in San Rafael last year with Bobby Weir of the Grateful Dead and Ramblin' Jack Elliott, Sean Lennon. It was a really amazing tribute to him to raise money for his hospital bills because he had been.
What was the beginning of his ailment? Do you know? It just piled on. I know, but I don't know where it started.
It says in his obituary he'd been dealing with one health issue after another in recent years. Died in his sleep. Yeah. He was only 70. You're right. He wasn't very old. He led a very energetic life, and maybe he just burnt the candle faster than some of us. He was a fellow student at the Fountain Valley School in Colorado Springs with Bob Weir. So they went to high school together and were, of course, friends for years. He wrote many of the Dead's iconic songs with Weir, including Cassidy, Throwing Stones, Hell in a Bucket, Lost Sailor, Saint of Circumstance, Black-Throated Wind, The Music Never Stopped, Looks Like Rain, Mexicali Blues. It was really fun to hear Bob Weir and his pickup band play many of those songs for John at the tribute there. And John joined it via Skype. He joined the well in 1986. I was there too. Then 4 years later, in 1990, founded the Electronic Frontier Foundation. He and Mitch Kapor and John Gilmore, who was one of the cypher punks, and EFF, of course, remains to this day a great fighter for the freedom of the internet. And many of us remember John Perry Barlow's. In fact, I think you asked me to get him to read it again when I interviewed him on Triangulation.
I did.
What was the We the People of the Internet?
Yes. Did he do it? He didn't do it, right?
He kind of, I don't know. We'll have to go back and find it. He
finally did redo it.
He kind of poo-pooed it. He was embarrassed.
Yeah, but then I think he recognized how much it meant to people.
It was
it's a wonderful document. It is a wonderful document.
Kind of the first kind of statement that something was happening. That it was a nation of its own, sort of, right? The Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace.
Written in Davos.
Governments of the industrial world, you weary giants
give it some more. Give it some more, Leo.
Give it some more?
Do it for John. Do it for John.
Governments of the industrial world, you weary giants of flesh and steel. I come from cyberspace, the new home of mind. On behalf of the future, I ask you of the past to leave us alone. You are not welcome among us. You have no sovereignty where we gather. We have no elected government, nor are we likely to have one. So I address you with no greater authority than that with which liberty itself always speaks. It's just beautiful. I can't do it justice because it's so great. And maybe I could find him reading it.
He did finally read it about 2 years ago, I think.
Anyway, I was privileged to have met him many times and talked to him and interview him.
Here. I went to like early blogger cons with him. He was just a true wonderful gentleman.
Yeah. I remember
that's a huge loss.
Going to his home for a meeting of the EFF and others, and he was graceful, brilliant, funny, and a gentleman to the very end. And we're really going to miss John Perry Barlow.
I think it might be the last post that he put up on Facebook. It's just a beautiful little picture. I presume it's a grandson. Getting a bris, I think. And he loved his daughters dearly. And
a declaration of the independence of cyberspace, as written by John Perry Barlow at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, on February 8th, 1996. Governments of the industrial world, you weary giants of flesh and steel, I come from cyberspace, the new home of mind. On behalf of the future, I ask you of the past to leave us alone. You are not welcome among us. You have no sovereignty where we gather. We have no elected government, nor are we likely to have one, so I address you with no greater authority than that with which liberty itself always speaks. I declare the global social space we are building to be naturally independent of the tyrannies you seek to impose on us. You have no moral right to rule us, nor do you possess any methods of enforcement we have true reason to fear. Governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. You have neither solicited nor received ours. We did not invite you. You do not know us, nor do you know our world. Cyberspace does not lie within your borders. Do not think that you can build it as though it were a public works project. You cannot. It is an act of nature, and it grows itself through our collective actions. You have not engaged in our great and gathering conversation, nor did you create the wealth of our marketplaces. You do not know our culture, our ethics, or the unwritten codes that already provide our society more order than could be obtained by any of your external impositions. You claim there are problems among us that you need to solve. You use this claim as an excuse to invade our precincts. Many of these problems don't exist. Where there are real conflicts, where there are wrongs, we will identify them and address them by our means. We are forming our own social contract. This governance will arise according to the conditions of our world, not yours. Our world is different. Cyberspace consists of transactions, relationships, and thought itself, arrayed like a standing wave in the web of our communications. Ours is a world that is both everywhere and nowhere. But it is not where bodies live. We are creating a world that all may enter without privilege or prejudice accorded by race, economic power, military force, or station of birth. We are creating a world where anyone, anywhere, may express his or her beliefs, no matter how singular, without fear of being coerced into silence or conformity. Your legal concepts of property, expression, identity, movement, and context do not apply to us. They are based on matter. There is no matter here. Our identities have no bodies, so unlike you, we cannot obtain order by physical coercion. We believe that from ethics, enlightened self-interest, and the common weal, our governance will emerge. Our identities may be distributed across many of your jurisdictions. The only law that all of our constituent cultures would generally recognize is the Golden Rule. We hope we will be able to build our particular solutions on that basis. But we cannot accept the solutions you are attempting to impose. In the United States, you have today created a law, the Telecommunications Reform Act, which repudiates your own Constitution and insults the dreams of Jefferson, Washington, Mill, Madison, de Tocqueville, and Brandeis. These dreams must now be born anew in us. You are terrified of your own children, since they are natives in a world where you will always be immigrants. Because you fear them, you entrust your bureaucracies with the parental responsibilities you are too cowardly to confront yourselves. In our world, all the sentiments and expressions of humanity, from the debasing to the angelic, are parts of a seamless whole, the global conversation of bits. We cannot separate the air that chokes from the air upon which wings beat. In China, Germany, France, Russia, Singapore, Italy, and the United States, you are trying to ward off the virus of liberty by erecting guard posts at the frontiers of cyberspace. These may keep out the contagion for a small time, but they will not work in a world that will soon be blanketed with bit-bearing media. Your increasingly obsolete information industries would perpetuate themselves by proposing laws in America and elsewhere that claim to own speech itself throughout the world. These laws would declare ideas to be another industrial product no more noble than pig iron. In our world, whatever the human mind may create can be reproduced and distributed infinitely at no cost. The global conveyance of thought no longer requires your factories to accomplish. These increasingly hostile and colonial measures place us in the same position as those previous lovers of freedom and self-determination who had to reject the authorities of distant, uninformed powers. We must declare our virtual selves immune to your sovereignty, even as we continue to consent to your rule over our bodies. We will spread ourselves across the planet so that no one can arrest our thoughts. We will create a civilization of the mind in cyberspace. May it be more humane and fair than the world your governments have made before. Davos, Switzerland, February 8th, 1996, and read in New York City, July 30th, 2013.
So he wrote that 22 years ago. John Perry Barlow.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
that was lovely.
Well worth playing it. John Perry Barlow
I'm
passed
really
away
touched
today at the age of 70. And I'm glad he recorded that. And thanks to Idealog and the Q department for Department of Records for making that recording and for posting it on Vimeo. You can find it on Vimeo if you search for it.
I did ask him once to do that, and he did say, I find it a little embarrassing, a little over the top.
He was a little embarrassed by it, but
it was wonderful.
It is definitely a relic of the early internet, 1996. But after
and we need to
at
remind
first I'm
ourselves
listening,
of that spirit.
As I'm listening to it, I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's so. But then I realized, no, that really is the spirit of the internet. It is,
and it is still potentially what it should be, and that's what we still want to capture and preserve.
That's what Kevin Marks does.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this feels so naive almost today. And we have clearly lost, the idea of ethics and civility, in self-governing communities. No, that's not happening. But
I think it's temporarily.
There's still a chance.
That's the point. I think.
Yeah. It's
temporary, but I'm hoping it will reassert itself. So sad. So sad to.
That is sad.
Read Cindy Cohn's obituary. It's at EFF.org. John Perry Barlow. What a great man, and one of many who of his generation who really gave us this internet. We are still just bits, and I'm really glad we have it, and we have a lot more to do. I think to preserve his vision and their vision.
I put 2 pictures of him up in the chat, just the robust John to remember.
Yeah. He's been ill for some time, and he's been posting on Facebook though, and I gather that's where you got these. He's been posting pictures for a while of this is.
So John was a rancher,
right? Oh, I love this picture. I saw this. There's one. That's a late one with him and Bobby Weir enjoying a burger. That's probably not so long ago. I saw that recently. This is the picture I'd prefer to remember of John as the Montana rancher with his rifle on his shoulder and an early Macintosh on a fence post. Whether he's about to shoot it, I don't know. But John was one of the people from the 60s, Jeff, who never stopped living that life, and I think it took him early, sad to say.
It did.
Nice image from John. There he is with his beautiful daughters, who loved him dearly, and his ex-wife, and Elaine Barlow and Justine and Leah and Anna Winter. So
for some of you in the audience, I know that this may not be quite as meaningful, but it's a tribute worthwhile to somebody who really did help us.
Yeah. Here's the picture from the concert. They got together and there's Sean Lennon on the right and Bobby Weir with the beard and his Jerry Garcia T-shirt. This was an amazing show. I was so glad we got to see that, and it was at Sweetwater in Mill Valley, in a very small venue, to see such great artists. Really, really a lot of fun.
So thanks for doing that, Leo.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Sorry, you guys.
Oh, yeah. So Stacey, when you hear that Declaration of Independence for cyberspace, does it sound like an antique to you? You can be honest.
Ideal. No, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't sound antique. It sounds like the beginning of an era when everyone's hopeful, and now we're living in what became of that era. Yeah. So I think certain principles, like I had this great vision for IoT based on the open web, and that's not happening. And the open web has been killed. I know, Kevin, we could talk about this forever.
Really? Is it dead?
It's dead for most consumers. And so the question then becomes,
oh God, you mean Facebook is the internet?
For people, yeah, Facebook, Twitter, all of these things are the internet. And if you go on your phone, because most people access the internet through their phone, the phone is a terrible ecosystem for that. Yeah. So, yeah, I would argue
voice will probably be even more closed, right, Stacey?
Voice is hideously closed, and the networks we're setting up right now for connected devices they're not closed so much as they're just so fragmented you can't pull anything together to make it meaningful. Like I wanted there to be standards so my sensors could talk to my other sensors, and it would be very easy to pull things together.
Yeah, no.
And that, I mean, but that is like the, I wanted the hyperlink of things, so you could actually create cool stuff. That didn't happen, and I had all these like long tail visions, and again,
you still have to fight for it, though. That's the point.
And I do, but.
It's Starman, isn't it? It's Starman up in space going around.
It's still a baby. I mean, that was only 22 years ago. It's still a baby.
I don't know if it's a baby. I think technology has grown up very fast, and we're in. I mean, I don't want to think about internet years, right? But I think I feel a little dismayed. I feel like we've.
If you read Tim Wu's The Kill Switch, basically what he described has happened.
Yeah.
And in that book, he likened it, if I remember correctly, to the early long distance or just telephone companies, where in the early days there were many, it was unregulated, it was vibrant and exciting and innovative, but eventually, the big company, Ma Bell, came in and squeezed it and took control of it, and it went from being open to closed. And Tim Wu predicted several years ago the same exact thing would happen to the internet. Right. But he also pointed out that it's a pendulum, and it swings. Yeah.
And it's not just the internet, it's also society itself. Yeah. And doing the research I am on this notion of the mass, I read the New York Times in 1949 did like a 20-page section on this new thing, television. Fascinating, just amazing to go through. The ads are spectacular. If you have a few minutes, go to the Times full archives, and I'll find the date for it if anybody wants it. But Frank Stanton wrote a piece talking about media now and how media had to appeal to everybody. They had to make things that everybody would like. That was the business imperative, because that's what mass media meant. And we're past that. Listen to our talk in the beginning about VidCon. That the people can create. And yeah, they're making some junk now. Of course they are. So did they with the first books. So did they with the early TV. But I disagree with Stacey. I think we're very, very early days still. I think that we can still grab on.
I think there are plenty of places to create, plenty of opportunities to go beneath the commercial surface. And I think the web has made that easier. But I think it's always going to be an alternative vision or activity. So to dig underneath and to really play with the open internet as it is, I think is going to be very much a hacker mindset, very much an alternative. Think about like zines back in, the 70s and 80s, right? It's going to be that kind of.
Yeah, but thing. I also think I'll go overboard, Stacey, which is what I do. But sure. Let's go back to the Hudson's Bay Company. Let's go back. The Pilgrims were not a religious venture, as Boo Srinivasan points out in his book. They were an economic venture. They were backed by capital. They were here to take riches back to Europe and to hell with the natives. And it was a purely economic venture.
They were here for the gold, of all things.
Yeah,
boy, were they wrong.
We did have a nation of principles that rose from that.
Yeah,
it took a few hundred years. It took a lot of time. It took oppression. It took difficulty, but something rose from it that had principles that we fear now we're losing. I'm not ready to give up. I'm depressed too. I agree with you, but I'm not ready to give up.
And I'm just. What will it take to see that, and when will it happen? And that's the other question. I mean,
I'm going to be too old to see it. Your daughter, I hope, will see it. But just remember, Starman is above.
Thank God.
Starman is above and rapidly leaving our orbit.
Get the hell out of here. I'd rather be in an asteroid belt around you people.
To bring us down to Earth, Sunday was Facebook's 14th birthday, and Mark Zuckerberg posted his thoughts in which he admitted many mistakes. It's a moment to reflect, he says, on how far we've come from that dorm room at Harvard and how far we still have to go to bring the world closer together, a moment to think about what we need to do better. People ask what I've learned along the way. I was 19, God, when I started Facebook, and I didn't know anything about building a company or global internet service. Over the years, I've made almost every mistake you can imagine. I've made dozens of technical errors and bad deals. I've trusted the wrong people. I've put talented people in the wrong roles. I've missed important trends. I've been slow to others. What is Mark in a 12-step? I've launched the product after the product that failed.
Oh, yeah, they're all practicing self-flagellation over there.
Oh, is it time for self-flagellation?
They're all doing it. They're all doing it. Yeah.
Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. The reason our community exists today, not because we avoided mistakes. Oh, wait a minute. Here's the turnaround. It's because we believe what we're doing matters enough to keep trying to solve our greatest challenges, knowing full well we'll fail again and again, but that's the only way to make progress. Isn't this what they've been saying all along, which is
this
make
is Mark's
mistakes
just
and fail
strategy.
fast? Yeah.
I mean, let's revoke everybody's privacy on Facebook. Oh, guys,
sorry.
are you so sorry?
God, I didn't mean to do that. I pushed this button instead of that button.
It's like, my bad.
My
okay.
bad.
And then
I know, it's
later,
that my bad. Oh.
So I'm like, mea culpa. I don't care.
We're still early in this journey. We'll keep working. Compare this to John Perry Barlow.
John Perry Barlow.
We're still early in this journey, and we'll keep working to improve. That focus has always been our strength, and that's what this year is all about. Bringing us closer together with our family and friends matters. And 14 years in, I'm proud of what we do and grateful to be a part of something so meaningful. It's an honor to be on this journey with you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's very kind of pablum. But I don't know. It doesn't. You're right.
It tested well.
It tested well. The pollsters said, Mark, this is you should release this.
I would love for Mark to be sincere. And, I wish that people in charge of our companies, we can hate Travis Kalanick all we want.
But he was sincere.
Should. But he is sincerely
an asshell, but he was sincere.
So you could see him coming.
Yeah, you knew it.
No, I think Stacey, it's been many years since I've met him face to face, but I think Zuckerberg is sincere
That's
about
my
believing
question.
the world's a better world. The problem is, I think that their definitions, I wrote about this 2 weeks ago, I think their definitions are too simplistic and shallow and temporal. And
yes.
And the problem is, I've talked to people in various of these companies, and I think they think that they've, oddly, for a company like Google that has, become a mobile company and a car company and everything else, and Facebook has become a VR company and all this kind of other stuff, they're so wed to the data they have that the bad assumption that's built in there is that their tools are done, and we're just listening to what people are doing. Well, they're doing what they can with the tools you gave them, and the tools are too simplistic, and you have to have a much richer and more nuanced view of what community is and what society is, and you got to, that's not about throwing stuff against the wall and failing. It's about having deeper thoughts about what you can do with this power, and that's where I get disappointed. I don't think they're thinking big enough, actually.
The numbers are down this quarter, and some say it's. I think Facebook says it's the change in the algorithm, and we're giving up some daily active users. We're giving up some time spent viewing to be more responsible. Or others say, "Hey, it's Facebook on its way out finally." Boy, did you read the article, the tweet actually, Storm, from Funny or Die? How Facebook is killing comedy. This actually is an interview with Sarah Aswell, Split Sider. Mike Farah, the CEO of Funny or Die, wrote on Twitter, Mark Zuckerberg just walked in and laid off all my friends. He didn't, of course, but he says there's simply no money. Actually, his colleague, Matt Klinman, wrote this on Twitter. There's simply no money in making comedy online anymore. Facebook completely destroyed independent digital comedy, and we need to effing talk about it. So so this is the interview with Klinman.
Yeah, I put this up on the rundown.
Yeah.
It's scathing, but it's interesting if you look apart from the news world. Now you look at the comedy world and the impact.
Let's just call it the content world. And I feel like I dodged a bullet because when Facebook started doing live video and everybody said, "Oh, you got to."
I was trying to talk into it.
Put Twit on Facebook. I'd heard the same arguments for YouTube. This is Klinman. The whole story is basically Facebook gets so much traffic that they started convincing publishers to post things on Facebook. For a long time, that was fine. People posted things on Facebook. Then you'd click those links, go to their websites. But then, gradually, Facebook started exerting more and more control of what was being seen to the point that they, not our website, essentially became the main publishers of everyone's content. Today, there's no reason to go to a comedy website that has a video if that video is just right on Facebook. And that'd be fine if Facebook compensated those companies for the ad revenue that was generated from these videos. But Facebook does not pay publishers. So there's no more money to make content. Cracks, right. Same thing. And people could get...
Oatmeal had a
Go ahead.
funny comic about... No, the Oatmeal did a funny comic about this a while back. Gosh... I'll have to try to find
Klintman feels bad because he says people blame the companies. He says, I'm a labor dude. I'm a proud member of the WGAE. I'm more than happy to get mad at management about something, but that's not the problem. The problem is Facebook is our editor and our boss. They decide what's successful and what isn't successful via seemingly meaningless metrics. They hide behind algorithms. They change constantly. And it seems to me they're not favoring things that are high quality. They're favoring things that are clickbait, things that are optimized for Facebook, low-quality things that appeal to the lowest common denominator, and, honestly, just things at random. Facebook has, this is the thing, this is in direct opposition to the hope we all had in 1996 when Barlow wrote the Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace. Facebook has created a centrally designed internet. It's a lamer, crappier-looking internet. It's just not as cool as an internet that is a big, chaotic space filled with tons of independently operating websites who are able to make a living because they make something cool that people want to see.
I dropped that comic in the chat.
Let's look at the oatmeal. Let's see the oatmeal. Let me do it because I can use my magic powers, a.k.a. my Microsoft Surface Studio, and zoom in on it here. Let me copy this. Every time I look at a page now on Microsoft's Edge browser, somehow Chrome pops up a thing saying, you know, the web looks much better on Chrome. Reaching people on the internet, how it used to be. Come on over. I've got some neat stuff here. Matt's website, email, NetVibes. Remember NetVibes? RSS.
Yeah.
What happened? Actually, follow me over there. It'll be easier for us to reach each other. Facebook. Welcome, new active users. Where we're at now. Hey, I made some new stuff. Can you show it to my followers? Facebook. Door locks engaged. Oh, F. Promotion. Boost this post for $10,000 and reach a fraction of your followers. It isn't that bad.
That's where the moral hazard does lie for both companies, but especially Facebook.
Yep. Both companies, you meaning Google and Facebook?
Yeah, but especially Facebook. It is definitely more.
Klintman says Facebook's running a payola scam. You have to pay them if you want your own fans to see your content. That's basically what the oatmeal was saying.
Yeah. Well, in some ways, that's true. I mean, I'm lucky, you're lucky because our audience isn't as Facebook focused. But if you were like, if I were a blogger about family life or something like that, I would have to be on Facebook.
I guess you would, but at your peril.
Well, yes, but there, I mean, like many moms who, you know, let's say I'm doing a recipe blog. Those people aren't always on Twitter. So I would.
Did the Jeff go out of business because of this too, do you think?
All who?
AWL?
The all. I think you meant ALL. I think it's.
Wait. I'll tell you why the all went out of business. I just went to their website and it got taken over by an AT&T ad. Okay. At least Facebook doesn't do that.
Well, that is the issue, is that the advertising, we still are trying to replicate a scarcity-based ad model in an abundance-based world. Prices go down, desperation goes up, and you can't get enough audience to the ads when there's unlimited competition.
And the first things that go away, by the way, are things like the all, which are niche-y, cutesy, fun. They don't have the resources, or Funny or Die or Cracked. They don't have the resources.
That's also because advertisers and agencies are stupid, because all they'll buy still is volume when they should be in a different world where they value something like the all because it could have a different relationship.
Don't get me started on that one, boy.
I don't know. I mean, people who read the all are probably not your ideal consumers.
Yeah, no. But we have the same problem. No, we have the same problem with ad buys for Twitter too, because we don't have the mass numbers. We don't get those big Tide ads. But when people try us, they go, "Wow, we've never had such good results."
Thank you for teaching us, and we'll use these lessons elsewhere.
I know,
right?
and they immediately. I can name them. You know them. You've seen them on shows over the last 10 years, and now you see them on Superbowl ads.
Gee, I think I'm going to shave on my mattress.
You see them on Superbowl
with my special snacks that come every week. Yeah.
Well, but okay, but that's.
I don't mind. No, I actually don't. You're right. Stacey, you're right. I don't mind that. That's success. And there's always going to be another company that I can help make into a bigger company. I'm not complaining. It's interesting. I think really if there's anything going on in podcasting, the softening of advertising and podcasting, which is, as far as I can tell, universal, is because there's so many podcasts.
There's so many.
And I saw,
by the way, I see them announced all the time.
Yeah, if you're listening to this show still, thank you. Because I know, just as they say on an airplane, you have many other choices. Thank you for flying air twit.
No, it's true. And man, they're really good. That's the hard part.
Shut up.
I'm like, sorry. we went from like just a few really things but there's a lot of really good shows there. I'm sorry.
In fact, it's kind of like it happened with peak TV, with Netflix and HBO, and we're now in peak. I think peak podcasting, where there's so many good shows, many great shows. Much more deserving, frankly, than any of my shows, are just buried because nobody finds out about them.
There simply is not enough time.
This
is where I think the problem is that an information based. So the one problem is an abundance versus scarcity based model.
Yeah.
Another one is an attention based versus value based model. Mm-hmm. And attention is not the only asset out there, but it's what we're all fighting for, and there's a limit.
So what do you think of Wired's decision to go behind a paywall?
So I'm going to go ahead into my number of the week, since you asked.
Well, you can save it if you want. We'll save the discussion for that.
Oh, we'll come back to that.
Let's come back to that, because it's related, right?
It's very, very much related.
And by the way, as long as we're talking about the good old days, here is, thanks to CERN, the very first website. Actually, let me do
a nicer font than it was.
Well, no, let me do the simulator. This is a 300 baud simulator, the World Wide Web. This is Tim Berners-Lee in 1989, his first generation, and it really looks a lot like Gopher, right? I mean, it's text-based. He was a physicist at the Particle Accelerator in CERN, Switzerland. He had one of Steve Jobs' beautiful but poorly selling Next cubes.
Next.
And he said, I think I could write something that would be able to let my colleagues and I share our physics papers and comment on them, cross-link and so forth. And so he created something he called the World Wide Web, and this is it, the very first page. And CERN is brought it back, info.cern.ch, and you can browse it. It really is very much like Gopher, frankly. And what's nice is they've simulated a 300 baud modem as well.
With the sound. Days.
No, I don't have the sound.
You can get your modem sound on YouTube.
Yeah.
Should you want the modem sound?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The World Wide Web. We have come a long way. Let's see. All right, let me just quickly say. Oh, I should mention the rumor, and it's not a fact, but it's an interesting rumor, that Google is going to launch a streaming gaming service. Let me find the article here because I skipped past this. Yeti is the code name. This comes, of course, from Jessica Lessons, The Information. She's found a way. Don't even see, this is the problem. We go to the Verge article, but it really comes from the Information. But
how much does the Information cost?
$400 a year.
$400 a year.
I subscribe. I do too. It's behind a paywall. And so often what will happen is the tweets and the Facebooks and all that, they have to mention the Verge's rehash of what, to their credit, the Verge says it's from the Information. Service
code. They know they're getting the traffic.
Yeah, but Amira Frade, of course, who has great sources, Kevin McLaughlin. The service codenamed Yeti would put Google at the forefront of a nascent part of the video game business, streaming gaming. It's a $109 billion video game market. The company is developing a subscription-based game streaming service that would work, well, hard to tell. On Chromecast, maybe. I bet, though, more likely a Google-made console still being developed, according to people with knowledge of the project. So that's an interesting new business for Google. They'd be going up against some pretty big competition on that. And companies that went out of business. What was the first one of these? I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was pretty cool, and they ended up folding, getting sold off for scrap. We'll be getting the HomePod on Friday. We can do a head-to-head comparison against the Google Home Max, the Sonos One, bigger speakers. But those who have played with it, and the reviews have started coming out on Tuesday, say it sounds amazing for its size. Amazing.
Yes.
So this is
amazing,
the Google product?
Like it should. No, this is the Apple HomePod.
$350.
The Apple HomePod. I was confused.
It's got Siri built into it. It's direct competition for Google Home.
Yeah, but it's not.
But it's not.
Yeah.
It's really, and Apple even doesn't want to position. Actually, truthfully, I think what Apple's doing is interesting. They don't want to position it as another Echo or assistant in the house. They position.
They don't have the ability.
No, I think that they weren't even aiming at that. They want to reinvent sound. They want to reinvent speakers. And remember how we've been talking so much about computational photography, how a smartphone can do so much more with a really simple, inexpensive lens because of the software and the hardware, the processing that can make a better image. And the Google Pixel 2 is amazing in that regard. Apple wants to do the same thing with speakers. This computational audio, I believe. And
so one speaker does what when we got out of college, we had to have 8 speakers around the apartment.
And if you had 8 of this speaker, they would all know about each other and automatically shape the music to fill the room in a unique way. And the only reason I think this is because Renee Ritchie from MacBreak Weekly and iMore and others went to Apple for a briefing, and Apple really, they showed them the testing rooms and they really focused on the acoustics. And I got the message that you should stop thinking left-right stereo, that you have to have 2 speakers left and right, that one speaker with computational audio can give you a full sound.
Do you believe that?
Well, I'll find out Friday, but the people I've read, like Nilay Patel, who is an absolute stereo nut, a speaker hound, was raving about this, which really surprises me. Really.
Did you have quadraphonic in the day, Liam?
Oh, you bet.
Of course you did.
With a little joystick that could make the music go around and around. That, funnily enough, really has its successor in surround sound. And all of my stereo systems now have a center channel, left, right, and rear speakers. Music isn't mixed for it, but TV is. Some music's mixed for it. So I'll be very interested. This is what I'm going to say about it. And again, we don't have it yet, so I can't say. I think it's interesting because I think that Apple's going for not just another voice assistant. I think that's secondary to what Apple's really trying to say is computational audio. We could do something different.
But is that here's the thing?
Thank you, Mars.
That's not sustainable long term because if it's a wonderful technology, others will figure out how to do it too.
Yeah.
Whereas the assistant has a relationship with you that you start to depend upon. That is going to be higher value.
Oh, Apple has a better relationship than the assistant. Apple has the ecosystem. Ah!
Oof.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. The dog disagreed with me. Okay. Apple's fine. I didn't know the dog was an Apple fan.
Dog is an Apple fan. No, Apple has ecosystem. That's a bigger play. Go ahead,
So
Stacey.
I was going to talk about that just in context of Apple's health moves because I think Apple is really good at some things and really terrible at others. So if you think about the relationship I might have with Apple as a consumer of digital services, I loathe them. But as a consumer or as a repository for my information, it looks very interesting as like a health consumer or as a place to store my contacts. So I think that's kind of a interesting, bifurcation. And I don't know if a lot of other people have this, but the things that make Apple awesome, privacy, et cetera, are good in some spheres. And the things that it's so terrible at, like cloud services, make it really bad in things where I want it to predict what I want and deliver things to me.
Maybe. And that's why Siri isn't as big a part of this play as it Could be.
Right.
Remember that Apple Music, according to the Wall Street Journal, is about to beat Spotify in the U.S. They're growing at 5% a month now. Spotify only 2% in the paid tier. And
who is buying this? I can't understand why you would want Apple
ecosystem.
Music.
It's an ecosystem play. If you have an iPhone, an iPad, a Mac, and now the HomePod only works with Apple Music.
I know, but that's to me like a huge reason not to go into that ecosystem.
Unless you're already in it, in which case it's like, the balmy waters of Apple. I'm just going to lie back and let go.
My dog. I think she was upset because I was trying to say something, and then, we stopped, and she's like, "Oh heck no, you're paying attention to Stacey."
It worked,
and now she's fine.
Cardiogram study, by the way, says the Apple Watch can detect diabetes with 85% accuracy.
That is amazing.
This is a clinical study. This is another holy grail of wearables, is this massive and growing rapidly market of type 1 and type 2 diabetics.
In the first place or ongoing blood sugar?
14,000 Apple Watch users. No, it's not blood sugar because the Apple Watch doesn't have any blood sugar capabilities.
No.
Using the heart rate sensor, it detected out of 14,000 users, 462 of them had diabetes. 90, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Abnormal heart rhythm, 97% accuracy. Sleep apnea, 90% accuracy. Hypertension, 82% accuracy. But diabetes, that's the holy grail. You get that, and it's 85% accurate. Now,
well, it's not the holy grail, because the holy grail is actually insulin detection without
blood sugar. Blood sugar.
Blood sugar.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. My mother was a diabetic till her, well, obviously when she got it, type 1. But the new monitor that you leave on your arm, did you know about this thing?
No. Oh, it's still intrusive. I did know about it.
It's still intrusive.
Phil Libin was wearing it. Yeah.
But it constantly checks in.
Right. It's very
you're not
valuable.
pricking your finger.
I'm a type 2 diabetic, early stages. In fact, so there's two things to say here. One, early detection is huge.
Yep.
And that's what
this does.
That's what this does. But being able to measure it constantly is huge too, because then you can start making correlations between behavior, blood sugar. You can respond to problems with your blood sugar faster. This is all going to be. This is all very important. With there are 100 million Americans with prediabetes or diabetes, and 25% undiagnosed, according to the CDC. So,
and for people who deal with aging in place or with kids, this actually gives you the capability to monitor them from afar.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Or sorry, not this, but a connected device that.
Well, and this is another one, Jeff, like computational music that Apple can't patent and own. But there are a lot of Apple Watches out there. It's just one more reason to come on in. The water's
I would buy an Apple Watch, if it were slightly less expensive and I didn't have to have because it only works with the phone. So to buy into the ecosystem, how much is the watch now? $350?
$350 you can get it for. Yeah.
So $350 plus an $800 phone to buy into basically something I would want to use only for healthcare. It's healthcare prices, I guess.
No, what happens is though it starts that way. That's the whole.
Well, I know.
This is the strength right now of Apple's ecosystem play. It's just one of many entry points. Most people get in via the iPhone, and then they get the watch.
So now you have Amazon, which is going to have a health company, is going to have the drugs, has the watch that they've just patented for their workers, which they'll do other things with. The Amazon ecosystem could be very competitive. It'll have the music.
I think Amazon Health is fascinating, and I would never bet against Jeff Bezos in any respect.
No.
He's impressive. Actually, Amazon's income was pretty good too. We had on Twit this week, we had Sam Mashkovich, Mars Technica, who had the headline of the week: Alexa, print money. Even Bezos stunned by Amazon's Q4 income. Exceeds operating income estimate by 69%, and this is what you were talking about. The Echo has been very, very good. They don't break out Echo sales, but Jeff Bezos said optimistic projections for Echo have been exceeded, along with a vague sales figure of tens of millions of Echo-related devices throughout all of 2017. Tens of millions is an interesting number because it took Amazon 10 years to sell tens of million Kindles. So, yeah, Echo's pretty successful.
But there was just Sipper. Is that the consumer something research something? They did a report saying that there were like 34 million Echoes sold. So that's tens of millions, yes. And it's certainly more than 11 million all in on Nest devices.
Yeah.
But
34 million is nothing to sneeze at.
No, I am not sneezing.
And I wouldn't say they've saturated the market. I think there's still a big upside. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's actually this one's for you, Stacey. Sprint says they're going to launch the first mobile 5G network next year. You think this is hype, or do you think they'll be able to do it? They do have big money, right, with SoftBank now.
They do. In 2019 is when we should start seeing the first mobile, like the chips for mobile handsets. So, yeah. I mean, it's not crazy talk. It won't be widespread.
We're working with Qualcomm and network and device manufacturers in order to launch the first truly mobile 5G network by the first half of 2019.
First half. That feels iffy.
It's very optimistic. Cool.
Yeah.
The reason they think they can do that is they will actually use existing cell towers, put MIMO antennas, massively MIMO antennas on top of those, and then they can add these capabilities to about half their existing towers, and then they will do these macro towers. They'll increase those by 20%, and then 40,000 outdoor small cell solutions, and then 15 strand-mounted small cells in cable boxes. Something called the Sprint Magic Box. There'll be 1 million, and it is magical, 1 million Sprint Magic Box. So that's interesting. I don't know.
So that fits because the spectrum. I'm trying to see what spectrum
they have.
They
have the 2.5 gigahertz. They have about 160 megahertz of the 2.5 gigahertz band.
Okay, and that's actually a decent. That's good propagation. I mean, it's not awesome propagation.
700 megahertz, but
right, but it's not like 34 millimeter band. You know, which is what some people are looking at. So yeah,
AT&T and Verizon are going to do millimeter wave, and so this is a better place.
I love it when you talk millimeter waves.
Sprint CEO said Sprint's the only carrier that doesn't have to compromise what 5G can deliver because we can deliver super wide channels of more than 100 megahertz while still delivering mid-band coverage characteristics. That's the propagation we were talking about.
That is pretty powerful, awesome stuff. Yay!
I got rid of my Sprint phone years ago because they just really fumbled the future with WiMAX. I would love to see them come back. Competition's good for everybody.
It'd be good. It would be very good for the world. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Let me see. I'm just making sure that we haven't missed any big.
I think you got them.
Stories. I think we're doing pretty good.
Google has a new access chief. I only bring it up because they announced it today after the earnings, and I'm thinking, hey, the Nest news came out today. Yeah. Oh no, they announced it yesterday. So apparently,
new
just
chairman
lots
of the
things
board
are happening
too. Right?
Oh yeah.
Eric Schmidt has left the board, and they have a new chairman of the board.
So he's left entirely now.
I think so.
Or is he out as chairman?
Maybe he's
going to MIT.
Yeah. So Access's new chairman is trumpeted at the
CEO.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're
Google
right. CEO.
Google has a new chairman.
Google
Access has a new CEO.
Dinesh Jain, or Dinny, as he's called. He was CEO at Time Warner Cable, and he's the CEO of Access, which is amazing because you probably wouldn't leave Time Warner if Google Fiber were dead. So, or maybe you would. I don't know.
I would leave Time Warner. Time Warner Cable was bought, I mean, as part of the Charter stuff.
Spectrum.
And it's now Spectrum. So, he probably needed a new job anyway because you don't need 2 COOs.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Now,
Eric was not chairman. He was executive chairman, which was a kind of
that's right,
crafted title.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. Yeah. Let's wrap her up here. Coming up, our number, our tool, our thing. But first, a word from WordPress. Love WordPress. Building something new, something others can connect with. is a lot easier if you have the right tools. I don't care if it's a house or your new website. I love WordPress.com. We're thrilled to have them as a sponsor. We use WordPress. I use WordPress. I don't know who's the we. I use WordPress.com every day. It's where my blog, leolaporte.com, is. And whether you're looking to create a personal blog, a business site, or both, do what I did. Create your website at WordPress.com. It helps others find you, remember you, and connect with you. You don't need experience. You don't need to hire someone. WordPress.com guides you through the whole process from beginning to end. They handle all the heavy lifting, all the technical stuff, so you don't have to worry. It's easy to get your site up and running. They're beautiful, hundreds of beautiful designs to choose from. And they handle things like search engine optimization automatically, social sharing, so your visitors can help spread the word about you and your business. By the way, those business plans, hundreds of plugins and themes. I immediately turned on, and for everything I've said about Google AMP, of course, I turned on the AMP plugin on my WordPress site so it loads fast on mobile. Of course I did. I've got HTTPS automatically. The Akismet blog plugin is the best way to kill spam ever, anywhere on your blog. I can go on and on. Great plugins. And a great support team of real WordPress experts eager to help you get the most from your site 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday. They're there on weekends, too. Plans start at just $4 a month. Come see why 29% of every website in the world runs on WordPress. Wait a minute, that sounds like all websites have 29% WordPress in them. It's the other way around. All of the world has websites that are run 29% of all, just like it says there. WordPress powers 29% of the internet. Thank you. Get started today. Math is hard. Get started today with 15% off any new plan purchase. Go to wordpress.com/twig to create your new website and find a plan that's right for you. That's wordpress.com/twig. We thank them for their support. I have a couple of things I'm going to mention, and then we'll get to Stacey's number. Stacey's thing and Jeff's number. I just have to tell everybody to read this article in the New Yorker. I think it's available for free without a subscription. Why paper jams persist. And it's actually not about like paper jams per se. It's about technological issues posed by paper jams and the fascinating industrial design that goes into preventing paper jams in your fax machine, in your copier.
Gutenberg.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chester Carlson, whose name just passed by, is an important inventor because he invented the xerographic process.
Yes.
And by the way, Xerox is no more.
No. Isn't that sad? Xerox now owned by what's a Chinese holding firm or something?
Fuji. I don't know what Fuji is.
Japanese.
Now. Yeah,
Japanese.
They used to make film.
Fujifilm? I think, is it even the same Fuji? No one knows. No one knows.
Yeah, who knows?
No one knows. Xerox Park, gone. Sad.
Yeah, it was such a fun amusement park. I used to love to go there and ride with the kids at Xerox Park.
So it's just one of those pieces that only New Yorker could have on Joshua Rothman on the kind of the engineering challenges proposed by paper jams. Don't you love that? And
so,
go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to reminisce a minute.
About paper jams or Xerox machines?
Yes, paper jams.
Go ahead.
So way back when, what got me into all this whole technology thing, I'm going to date myself very badly, and Stacey, you are not allowed to say the versus when you were born. But in 1974, I was at the Chicago Tribune, and I was the guy in the newsroom who wasn't scared of computers because I was 21 years old. And I trained everybody on the computers. It's brand new, big thing. New newsroom, never had such a thing. We didn't know what a cursor was, had to do all that. So I was the guy who knew the computer. That's what got all this started. The problem was people in the newsroom would think, oh, if you know how to do computers, you must know how to get a paper jam out of the copier.
Oh, God. Were you the key operator? Were you? It always says call key operator. Was that you?
I know. Exactly. That's right. Yeah. I was the keyless operator. Paper jams have bedeviled mankind since paper movement has been invented.
Yeah, I mean, even modern printers, or you'd think this would be solved, or
no,
constantly tortured by there's actually Xerox had a facility they called the Paper Torture Lab, and it's fascinating. It's just, it's just, oh man, I just love these kinds of think pieces because, it's about stuff, minutia, that actually is quite interesting. One other thing, which is that Google is now there's a Google research app called Motion Stills, and they've added, which is a good thing to have on Android anyway, but they have now added to Motion Stills an AR mode, so you can place, not as cool as the Star Wars figures, generic figures into your world. Actually, I'll show you because I think let me see if it got to my Google Photos here. I did a couple of videos in the driveway. Oh, it's not on my Google Photos. Why isn't it? Shouldn't it be?
It's on your Nest Cam. Maybe one day they'll be together.
Well, I can show you, I guess, on I don't understand why. I guess it stays in Motion Stills until you save it, I guess, is the depressing fact of the matter. So I'll just see if I can. Or maybe I didn't save them. Oh, even worse. All right, well, I'll just have to do it. So let me put a little I don't know, you can't see it, a little dinosaur somewhere here. There you go. Oh, it's a gingerbread man. You can't see it, though, because of the angles, but I can make it really big.
Yeah,
you see
there we go. Yeah.
They've got a dinosaur. I could place a dinosaur right there. There's the dino. You can make him really big, or really small. It's not like
you record that, or what you do?
Yeah, you can record it, but of course, if you don't save it like a nitwit, there's an alien. There's a robot.
Are there nitwits in there?
Yeah, me. I like the giant Anyway.
I thought the chicken was cute.
Yeah.
But stupid.
Cute,
still
but stupid. Yeah, still stupid. No, I didn't say it wasn't stupid. So check out the Motion Stills app. You've got some new features. And now, Jeff, your number of the week.
So Wired just put up a paywall. They've joined the brigade here.
So disappointing.
And well, yeah. So and again, listen. If you can charge, you can charge. That's wonderful. But so the last less than 2 weeks, I've been doing a little test. And every time I get hit by paywall, I'm now recording what I would have to spend.
So the way Wired's doing it, you get like 4 articles, and then you just can't read anymore, I think.
Right. And so what happens is I'll follow a link to something and say, oh, you've just gone through half your articles. Well, I didn't want to use it for that.
Right.
So now I added up in less than 2 weeks, $3,070.57
Oh,
a year.
my God.
Yeah.
What I actually spend is about $248 a year. I buy the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Talking Points Memo. Wired, $20. Economist, $152. New Yorker, $90. Atlantic, $25. Stratechery, $100. Business Insider, $100. Wall Street Journal, $444.
Oh, so you're including like the big like Stratechery has a big subscription, like the information.
Yeah, because I hit it and I want to read it. And,
I can't read it unless you pay for it. Yep.
Medium is $60. Gannett, my local paper, $50. The Burnsville News,
ain't
$75.
nobody gonna do that.
No. And I counted Stratechery twice. Okay, subtract $100. So $2,970.
Right.
So, and that's just 2 weeks, and I'll hit more of them. And God bless them, they've all got to try to figure out how to make a living. But this notion of selling content, my content is valuable. You should pay for it for a whole year. When I only want a little this or that, and no, micropayments aren't the answer either, because A, we're not going to do it, and B, it's too expensive. So it doesn't raise enough money. So when people come after me about paywalls, I'm just going to say, well, $3,070.95. It's not going to do it. That's my number.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of, as an independent media person who wants to reference stuff and bring stuff, I've done these same calculations, and.
But we're all understanding though of the conundrum.
Oh, and I do. I mean, I spend at least $1,000 a year on subscriptions for various news things.
I make a point of buying things like the information, not because I need to, really, because I can get that information, as you see, everybody rehashes it anyway, but because I want to support Jessica. I buy Ben Thompson's Stratechery. I buy Paul Thurrott's blog. But there's a limit, and truth is, most of the time, you just want a casual article here, article there, right? I pay for Stacey's newsletter because it's free.
It is free, but you have to give me your time and eyeballs. Click on my ads.
Does that work? You wouldn't want to charge for that, would you?
I decided no because I have a hard time asking people for money.
Me too. Exactly. So. Really, it all boils down to that, doesn't it? I can give you can give all sorts of, it's democratic, blah, blah. It's just I don't want to ask for money.
That's not my thing. I'm awkward. So.
Me too. Stacey, you have a thing for us?
I did have a thing, but it's not set up. And until I get it set up, I'm not going to tell you about it because why would I do that? So until that, I have a book. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows this book. So it's old. It was published in September. Do you guys still want it or not?
Yes, I want it.
Okay. It's Autonomous by Annalee Newitz.
Didn't know about it.
See? Really?
Nope.
Okay. This is fiction. Did I spell autonomous right? I don't know. It is awesome. It is an amazing book about the future. There's stuff for there's robots. There's robots combine human to brain computing interactions. There's IoT, there's hacker collectives. It's awesome. It's just a good book.
Annalee Newitz. Cool.
She is the founder of IO9. Yes.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
You know her?
I know of her. I know the name. Yeah.
She's the culture editor at Ars Technica now. And she was the founder of IO9. And she's she's written I actually read her book about what happens when the apocalypse happens and how do humans survive. That's a really good book. But this is fiction. And it's just it's a good book. You should read it.
Let's listen. I'm going to get it on Audible in a couple of weeks when I get my credit. Let's listen. Here's Autonomous, a novel.
To float incongruously atop the waves. Spread next to her in the bright water was an undulating sheet of non-reflective solar panels.
Oh, love that.
Jack made a crumpling gesture with her hand, and the solar array swarmed back into its dock, disappearing beneath a panel in the hull.
Is she in a virtual world?
The sub's batteries were charged. Her network traffic was hidden in a blur of
All right, I'm buying it now. I don't care. I can't wait.
A blurb from William Gibson, and that's Cadillac.
Yes. No, it's a great book, and it makes you think about what makes humans and autonomy. Nice. And she's like a biohacker. I mean, it just all the threads of your future that we all kind of talk about and think about. It's in a nice story.
According to
is it all dystopian or?
It's now, Jeff, actually, because there's an underground collective of people who are trying to. Yeah. It's a huge IP. The evil in this story is IP lawyers. Anyway,
I think Annalee Newitz should be on Triangulation.
Oh, she should. She's so amazing. She's such a good writer. She's such a big thinker.
Yeah,
we're going to contact her. And if you're friends of Annalee, tell her we're looking for her. Covers robots, future drugs, slavery, and patent reform. The big four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and it doesn't even talk about AI and what makes a human or bots becoming autonomous and their rights. Oh, it's so good.
It also has, according to reviewers, a weird romantic subplot.
Oh, it does. Yeah, some people may not go for that, but I didn't mind. I didn't mind.
You don't have to call yourself it, unless that's your pronoun.
That it could be. I don't know.
It is Stacey Higginbotham. She's at StaceyOnIoT.com, at GigaStacey on Twitter, and is just fantastic. And we can't wait to have some time with you in Austin at South by Southwest on March 9th. I'm really looking forward to that.
So jealous you get to be together.
Jeff, you should come.
Come on down.
But with no.
You can bunk with me.
With that and the breakfast tacos.
Breakfast tacos. 8:30 a.m. breakfast tacos.
Burritos. What kind do you get? Do you like, Stacey? Egg and all that, or?
I do like bean and cheese breakfast tacos.
I love that.
Can you have that after the event? Just
bean and potato and cheese. Very good.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Is it from Torchy's? Are we going to get from Torchy's? Is that what we decided?
So Torchy's is good for breakfast tacos. I would actually do Taco Deli because I like their beans better and I like their donut sauce, but that's just me. Doña sauce. Sorry.
Doña Maria. Taco Deli. We're going there. Handcrafted tacos in Austin. Feel good food. We're going there. So, Carson, you're making a note of this, right? You're
and
in charge.
Their queso is good, Jeff.
Ooh, huevos ahogados.
Wow.
Ooh. Ah.
Ooh.
Okay, kids. Kids, if you come to our event, I can almost promise you we'll have breakfast tacos for all, unless more than 10 people come. Well, okay, maybe I should rephrase that. Breakfast tacos for 10. And then we'll see how many other people come. I'm trying to bribe our way into a giant. We want to fill Antone's. And by the way, that panel will not be streamed live because of its ungodly early hour, but we will package it up as a Twit special. So we will have it on the Twit network. You can watch if you can't make it to Austin March 9th. Plan on it. Is it true Ruby's is closing?
I just saw that. I just drove by there, so I don't know. I have not heard this.
Okay.
Oh, they're cutting up. Yes, they're cutting back on hours to permanently close.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Jeff Jarvis, professor of journalism at the City University of New York, which is near one or two great eateries as well.
It's in the center of the friggin' universe.
Times Square, baby. Ground zero for all that is culturally important. And that's why Jeff is so important to us. We love having you on the show. Thank you, Jeff, for being here. Follow his blogs at buzzmachine.com, at Jeff Jarvis on the Twitter. We do Twit every Wednesday around about 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 21:30 UTC. If you want to watch live, twit.tv/live. If you do watch live, please stop by the chat room, irc.twit.tv. You can chat along with the fun kids in the back of the class. And we also have seats available for a limited number of people. In fact, if you get the special seat, you can pedal to keep the studio online. That is just email tickets@twit.tv. Please indicate if you'd like the special seat with pedals. We will reserve it ahead of time. Tickets@twit.tv. If you don't come and watch the show live or stream it live, you can always subscribe in your favorite podcatcher. Twit.tv/twig is where all the shows live. You can download any show from the past. Subscribe in the podcast app for Android or iOS, Google Music, or whatever they call it now, Google Play. You can also get it in Pocket Casts and Overcast and all the other casts. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time on Twig. Bye-bye.